Mummies of Egyptian pharaohs move, change appearance, and disappear. This is claimed by the scientists who have seen this happen. The Egyptian mysteries related to the legends and mummies of the pharaohs remain many and continue to puzzle scientists. They are associated with mysterious deaths and puzzling disappearances. In July 1932, then, such an inexplicable phenomenon occurred in Cairo, Egypt, where the sarcophagi of Ramases II, the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, who was called the Great, Ramases the Great, as he was the strongest of all Egyptian rulers, had been moved, and the sarcophagus of his successor Marianas. At the moment when these two most important sarcophagi were to be deposited in their mysterious tombs, after a previous archaeological examination, the thumb of Ramases the Great suddenly lifted, and despite all the efforts of the archaeologists, it was impossible to return the thumb to its original position. The scientists, mocking the superstitions and wild imaginations of those who believed that the pharaohs punished those who desecrated their tombs, attributed this fact to their constant occupation with the physical study of the mummy, and as the natural consequence of the rather slight carelessness on their part. But there were also those who argued that the eternal peace of the pharaohs should not be disturbed, and no pilgrim should lay bare hands on the sept corpses of their kings. An underworld life was visible in the tombs of the mighty rulers of Egypt, imprinted in the serenity of their faces. The humble life which made the mummies retain the glamour and aristocratic apathy they had when they were alive. Archaeologists unearthed the mummies and brought them with their impressive sarcophagi to the Cairo Museum so that further generations of mortals could admire them. There they were placed in glass cases, just as they had been discovered in the bowels of the Egyptian land, trembling kings and weighty queens. The mummies of Tutankhamun and other members of the Egyptian dynasty came to light from the untamed archaeological dig with the characteristics attributed to them by those who embalmed them with such care and diligence. They seemed to be sleeping undisturbed. Their embalmers were the masters of death, how they embalmed them and to keep them like this. Now, some of the princesses of the pharaonic dynasty were found in their glass deathbeds, clutching their perfectly embalmed babies to their chests lovingly. Even today, after so many centuries, this maternal affection has lost none of its warmth. But one morning in 1930, the mummies were apparently kidnapped from the Cairo Museum, and their alleged captors have remained unknown ever since. Finally, they found them again lying in their natural graves, and the terrible scandal broke out. The pharaohs returned of their own accord to the place where they had been buried, intending to remain there in peace until eternity. The pharaohs wanted to show their supernatural power against the insignificant profane who had violated the inviolable law of their endless unrest. The pharaohs are back to punish! ! One day, scholars happened to notice that Pharaoh Thutmose III was now different. The features of the mummy of the sixth ruler of the 18th dynasty had hardened, and the king no longer had his blissful peace. A strange grimace, menacing, frowning on his withered form, and he looked dangerously fierce. Scientists were baffled and searched for the cause, while the Egyptian people were sure the terrible wrath of the pharaohs would break out against them. This was in the newspaper Acropolis, dated December 7th, 1932. I've translated this from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.